All right, y'all. It's the time of the day that you've been waiting for. It is the one show on air that will take you from the boardroom to the bedroom, from politics to the pulpit, and everything in between with your favorite friends. You are about to join the crew for Fresh Fire as we do what we do all together. Tune in.
Welcome to the crew, y'all, on Smooth 88.1 WHOV, iHeartRadio, and all the social media outlets. Yes, we are back. Yes, we took a little hiatus. You see, if you're watching us, I'm still on the beach, but you know, we had to come back together to get ourselves together. We are here, we are back, and we are ready to do this show. We got everybody here except for a couple of dudes. Pastor Law, you know, on his day job, he's handling his responsibilities, taking care of business, got a major case going on. So we want to honor him and, you know, respect him. And during this time, I told him I wouldn't say anything bad about him while he's doing his case. But as soon as the case is over, I got some things I want to say to him. And then Bishop Ray Johnson is not with us also. He's out of town. But we have the ladies that are here with us. We have Delegate Marcia Price that is with us. Welcome back, Delegate Price. I know you've been in session, handling your business, trying to represent the 95th and all the constituents that you serve. So it's glad to have you back, ma'am. How you doing?
Thank you. It's the 85th now.
It's the 85th.
Mm-hmm. After redistricting, I'm with the 85th. But it's so good to be back, to be with y'all. To see y'all.
We're together.
Hey there.
Yeah, we'll figure that out, right? And then we have with us the relationship expert, Albion Lyons, whom I'm actually right now very upset at. You know, I'm just still trying to recover from some of the things that she did offline. Listening to audience, I don't even want to involve y'all in it, but you know, it's good to have.
He thinks I'm cheating on the show, y'all. But listen,
she's moonlighting.
She's so multifaceted.
She's moonlighting.
We have layers, don't we, Sia? We've got layers, and we need to be able to express the fullness of who we are and all of our layers.
That's not the issue. The issue is not that the layers, because you have full rights to do that. You ain't tell nobody. See, I don't even want to get into all this. This is for another day.
Jason's gonna correct you. He's gonna correct you. That's okay. I'll leave it to Jason. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
You got my pressure up right now. And then we have right now Jason Covington, producer extraordinaire, who's on the moon right now as we speak, ladies and gentlemen. Jason, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. I do want to correct the record. Swan, you don't listen. We had this conversation over a year ago. I met with Albion and her husband to collaborate with them to get them where they needed to go. But as always, you never read the things we put in the chat. The things we tell you, it's like you old. Like you just got geriatric stuff going on. You don't remember anything that we tell you. So sorry, you are forgetful. You are very, very forgetful. And you just don't. See, you've been gone too long. You've been gone too long.
Marcia, who is talking right now, Marcia? I don't know who's talking.
Wait. We got to catch Marcia.
This way.
We got to catch Marcia up because Marcia, one of my best friends of the show, called me a name on air, and Swan would not let him live it down. But I'm not gonna tell you who my best friend is. But he made fun of me on air.
There was that, okay, but because we don't do radio silence because
sounds like Albion could be hired professionally for the crew.
We need therapy, y'all. But listen, we got to have some conversation, okay? We can't get caught in this part because this is just the beginning. And we've got some really exciting stuff that's getting ready to happen, y'all. So I'm going to just tell you what's getting ready to come. Listen, all of you all have said to us for over 2 years, and courtesy of COVID, probably 3, that I want you guys to be live again like y'all used to do. And you come down to some of these venues and pack the whole house out and everybody has a great time. When are you bringing your show on the road again? And we want to tell you something, guys. On the say it, Kevin.
March 22nd.
22nd, which is a Friday, we are going to be doing the crew live at Hampton University's 42nd annual conference on the Black family. And you will be able to be part of the conversation too. And you will get a chance to be able to experience it the way that you have experienced it before. So I just want to say in advance, you're welcome. We are coming out to you guys now. So no excuses, no excuses. Call in sick, no excuses. You could come be there with us, have a wonderful mental health day while you get a chance to talk about all the stuff. And for all of you people who listen to us, because we have so many supporters of every culture, you are welcome at this table. So you don't have to be a person of color to come join us for the conference at HU. Listen, anything that happens to the Black community is happening to America. We're all in it together. So we need to stop pretending like one person's issue is different than another person's issue. It is our America, and we're doing this thing together. We're just talking about it through the lens of the experience of people of color. But we're married to y'all. We love y'all. Y'all family. Everybody's welcome. Come join the conversation. And today, we're going to talk about some of the things that are going to be in that conversation. So, Kevin, if you would start behaving, we could have this discussion. Let's talk.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, yeah, you're right. I'm going to behave for the rest of the show. It starts on Wednesday, March the 20th.
It does.
And it goes all the way to Friday, March the 22nd. And so 7 p.m. on Wednesday night kicks it off. Guest speaker will be Reverend Dr. Otis Moss III from Chicago, brilliant preacher. Then Thursday will be sessions all day. And what Alvia didn't tell you is that she's also on Thursday leading a women's session that she's going to be a part of on Thursday. And then I'm going to be in a pastor's session on Thursday afternoon. And then Friday we come together, all of us, even the ones that's not here today. So Tom's going to be there, Bishop's going to be there, Alvin, Sia's going to be there, Jason's going to be there, I'm going to be there. We're going to have a good time, and you get to hang with us live and in living color. And the best part of all, Jason, Sia, Alvin, the conference is free.
It is.
Free to the public, guys. There are no excuses. Everybody can be part of it. You got to come.
Yeah,
You got to come.
So excited.
You got to come.
Go to Hampton University's main website page, and it'll give you directions of how to get to the link to register, free and open to the public. Now, let's go ahead and jump in to this show, because it's been a while, Alvin, since we've talked. And, a lot of stuff has been jumping
happened.
off. And
Yes.
so what we're going to do today is we're going to kind of do a buffet show today, as we call it, right? It's not one particular topic. It's several topics that we're going to talk about. And then you, the listening audience, if you're watching us, you can drop your comments in the chat. We would appreciate that. So, Sia, we're going to start with you, ma'am, because I know you've been off fighting the good fight, as you normally do. You've seen a lot. You've been, fighting and making sure that certain, things are happening in our community. But what caught your attention since the last time you've been with us? What's a burning issue? What's things that you're dealing with, that you're passionate about, thinking about since the last time we talked?
Yeah, so we had our 60-day session. So I've been gone for 60 days in Richmond at the Capitol. But it was historic. And I think the success of the session is really what has to be talked about, right? And so we had our first ever in 400 plus years, first ever Black speaker. And that was Speaker Don Scott, who rose to speaker quite quickly because other previous speakers have been members for years and years and years. And so this, I believe his third term, he started off as speaker. And it's really interesting that people had such low expectations and they really told on themselves, like, oh my gosh, you're so well spoken, or oh my gosh, we ended on time. And I'm like, that lets me know what you were thinking beforehand, not so much about. And yes, he's amazing. And yes, it was efficient. And yes, he is well spoken, but it was just really wild. But I mean, I have to give it to him. And it's the first time ever that we've had chair of appropriations, Senate appropriations, a Black woman, President pro tem, and that's Senator Louise Lucas, and then a Black chair of appropriations on the House side, Delegate Luke Torian. And so I just want to shout out what representation can get us. So with all of that leadership, with the chair of the Democratic Senate Democratic Caucus, Senator Locke, and then lots of chairs. I was a committee chair, lots of Black people in leadership. You can see that represented in the laws that were passed out and the budget that was passed out. And so I just want to give a shout out to Black excellence. Some people might have low expectations, but when we have high expectations of ourselves, when we work together, when we keep the people focused, we can get amazing things done. And so that is really what I wanted to take away from just an amazing session. I had 20 bills to get sent to the governor's desk. So now we wait for the governor's actions on those bills, and then we go back April 17th to answer to those. But stay tuned for more updates, and we'll really go through the hundreds and hundreds of bills that were passed out that just, education, healthcare, criminal justice reform, the economy, all of the things that really touch people's everyday lives, right? So you might see on the news the things that where lots of controversy, but it's really when you dig down deep into the non-controversial issues that we really get the work done. And so I'm just really proud to be a member of leadership for this very successful and very historic session that just ended.
Congratulations on that. We're very proud of you, and I know that you always are representing and doing well. This Alvian speaks to the need of voting, right? Which, as a tie-in, we know that this is an election year, right? A very important year. And one of the things that we've been talking about off air, and maybe Sia, you want to chime in on this too, is we're already seeing how this presidential race is about to start playing out. And we see that the nominees have been secured. You got Biden, who looks like he's going to, run again for re-election. And then you have Trump, who's looking to come back into office again. And it's amazing, Alvin. We've all been talking offline. Now, I saw somewhere today, I was reading that the January jobs report was greater than expected. 350,000 jobs were added to the economy. Best economy that has been in a long time. And yet and still, there are a lot of people who are not wanting to vote for Biden, and still, in spite of all of the criminal charges and all of the stuff that's going on, right, wrong, or indifferent, there are still people that are very tied to Trump. And so it could still be that President Trump has a very real chance, Alvin,
of being president again.
Yeah. And how do we make sense of that?
It's such an interesting question because, of course, we are not telling anybody how to vote. We are telling people that you need to vote as an extension of your values and your passions and the things that matter to you. And however you vote, that is completely between you, your family, God, however you would like to do that. That is on y'all, right? What we do find interesting, just as observers of this process and experience, is that far be it for us to talk about this through a racial lens, okay? Far be it for us too. But I'm just saying, y'all, if we had a candidate who was a person of color who had those number of charges, even the question that was an issue, no matter how innocent he could possibly be, just the mere fact that there was a question about his integrity, a question about his business deals, a question about his taxes, a question about his indiscretions, a question about his conduct with women, the question about, the list goes on. All he needs is one as a person of color, just one, just an insinuation.
Right.
And that alone would have been it, nail in the coffin. We wouldn't be having this conversation. There's no way that would be happening. I mean, for all of people's different perspectives about President Obama, who I personally loved, okay? And not because I agreed with every single policy. I don't even agree with my husband every day, okay? So I don't agree with every policy of any politician ever, okay? But what I do agree with is the kind of man he was in that office. What I do agree with is the way that he honored and respected what it meant to be the president of the greatest country on earth. That's what I agree with. So, and on top of that, not a single personal scandal to be had. The man loves his wife. He loves his children. He shows up. I mean, I've read all of his books, all of that. Point being, he knew that he could not have sneezed in his role. Fox News literally had an entire segment on the fact that he wore a tan suit to a speech, a tan suit. That was the scandal, a tan suit. Not that he touched a woman's private parts, not that he stole millions of dollars from people, not that he had done unethical business, not that he faked an election scandal, none of that. A tan suit was President Obama's scandalous moment. And we are talking about the possibility that President Biden may not be President Biden this fall, guys. May not.
So I do
Even
want to
given
I
those
want to
other
talk
factors.
about
So
that. Right.
I'm just saying, I find it utterly amazing, not because I'm picking sides, just merely looking at the facts.
And see, you're in politics, right? I mean, you know, it's known that you're a Democrat, right? And you're looking at this and you're seeing who the other candidate is, you know, right, wrong, and indifferent, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It would seem to me that if the Democrats had a candidate like this, that you would think that the gap, because of the past history and all of that kind of stuff, would be wider. What's your thought on all of this about there's still a real chance that former President Trump could be elected in November?
Yeah, I mean, I think it shows us a couple of things because like that candidate came to Richmond during session, and some of the Republicans went to a rally and signed up to be endorsers of his. And so it really, to me, is less about the one person than about their teams and what will happen if their teams get empowered, right? So sometimes, it's like people will say, well, this candidate so and so isn't really relatable, but this other candidate is, right? And I'm like, listen, y'all are not voting for your best friend. Y'all are not voting for who you're going to hang out with on the weekends. Y'all are about to vote on somebody that's going to be the lead for policy decisions that will impact your life. So sometimes I think we get messed up on personality, right? So if we're going to stick with personality, then you got to deal with the fact the personality, he's a troll. Like, he's a straight up troll, and he is going to troll people based off who his team likes and doesn't like. So you are finding yourself watching Christian nationalism, which is not, for those that, we've talked about it, but this is not about Christianity, but white men being empowered to do whatever white men want to do, right? That is who his team is. And he will troll anybody else that's not on that winning team, so to speak. They use the Jewish faith as political footballs. They use Black people as props. Like, the personality of it all is very dangerous. Then you look at the policy, and I know that Democrats have not done the best job of sharing like the policies, right? And so when there's a void, the loudest voice kind of wins. And so you got people blaming Biden for things that happened when Bush was president. You got, all of these things. And if you hear it enough time, it becomes truth when there isn't a fact checker or there isn't a force that's pushing back. But a lot of the things that we are noticing and seeing, the economy bouncing back, the infrastructure, like the dollars coming down from these things, happened under President Biden. And so it's kind of odd, I think, as just an observer, what we're latching onto that we're hearing from. And I think it kind of says a little bit more about us than about the candidates.
So what does it say for you that, and you touched on it just now, why do you think the gap isn't wider? Don't go to his side. What do you think your side is doing or not doing that's contributing to why the gap is even closer? I think one thing I would say is, for many people, the top of the ticket is, you look at, on the one hand, you have a person that's up against 91 different charges, criminal charges. And then you have another candidate that may be doing well, but is old. And quite honestly, do we believe he's going to die in office if he's reelected? Do you have some people, I hate to say that have that sentiment? Mm-hmm. So I think for people who look at the top two and you're saying, are these the two best? I mean, like, right. Is this America? Is this what the best we can get at the top? Right. I mean, but be that as it may, why do you think then the Democrats aren't doing more to separate themselves from him if you have this candidate that has this track record, but it's still close?
Well, I don't necessarily think it's about doing more. I think it's about being more efficient. They are doing things, like they are running on policies that really impact a lot of people in positive ways. But here's one thing that I've noticed personally, where it's like, well, Biden couldn't get this done, or Biden couldn't get that done. And so then I'm like, oh, we don't understand that Congress has to actually work with him in order to get those things. So when you have a Mitch McConnell style, House where their only thing is to not get anything that will make the president look good, not what's best for your life, but like right now, everyone wants to talk about securing the border. There is a bill that would give funding to the border to make our borders more secure. Trump has said, well, don't pass that because that'll make Joe look good.
Yes. Yes.
So the Republicans in the House shut it down. And so now it's like, when I hear people say, well, Biden couldn't get student loans done, the Supreme Court fought him and prevented him from being able to get it done in the way he chose. But there are hundreds of thousands of people that have had their loans cut in half, if not more. And so I really do think it's not about what's being done. It's about the messages that are reaching the people. So if we are doing the work, but the work is not getting to the people and the echo chamber still exists, then that means that we're not talking in the right ways or talking to the right people. I personally think it is a messaging issue. I really do. The work is there. The receipts are there, but your platform is only as strong such that it actually gets to the dining room table, right? And I just don't think it's translating as well as it could right now. And so we're left with the Fox News lies because there is this echo chamber for everyday people.
Yeah, you're right. And I think, Jason, let me come to you, man. I think sometimes too, people look at, we don't live in a big city metropolitan area, but I think some people like New York area, they see people being bussed in, people living on the street. They're looking at certain people who, inflation hit during this particular administration, right, wrong, or indifferent. And while jobs are being added, a lot of people are still struggling with day to day. What's your take on all this, man?
I think you kind of hit it on the head. I went to the gas station the other day and it's a sticker on a gas pump that said, I did that. And it's a picture of Joe Biden. Had a conversation with a colleague today about going out to dinner with your family when you would normally spend $40-50 for a family of four. Now you're spending before gratuity, $120. Prescription medicine. Blessed to have great benefits at where I work at. But prescription medicine is at an all-time high. So you try to be sensitive and you hear that and because I'm not political, I'm pretty much apolitical. And I used to lean Democratic and I'm kind of like, who's going to do the best for what I need? Because at the end of the day, man, I got 2 kids, I got a wife, I got bills, I got to figure this thing out. And this troublesome is an understatement to see where we are going in our democracy, where, and I think, Kevin, you said it a few months ago, that our best options are someone that has been indicted on federal charges and a gentleman that's over 80 years old. There has to be more qualified people that represent us. And I'm not just saying that to represent the Black people, because what Alvin said about President Obama, I love him as a man, but I didn't agree with all of his policies and his thought process. But when you look at him as a measure of decency and caring about people, I'm 40 years old, so I don't know too many presidents that I would say, cared about me. Like Ray was saying, I'll end the plan here. I remember it's a picture that has Obama leaning down and a young man touching his hair. And that just reminds me of the humanity that President Obama represented. And I haven't seen it since then. And that's what I miss. I miss the decency where you didn't talk about a man's wife being ugly, or you didn't make fun of someone that had mental defects or handicaps, or you didn't have just a disdain for people who don't look like you or come from the same neighborhood or don't have a trust fund. So again, for me to say I'm troubled would be an understatement. I worry about my kids. I worry about what's going to happen next, because I'm like Alvin, I got 20 jobs. I'm going to try to make sure that if the ceiling come down, that we got somewhere to lay our head.
No, that's real. And I think that's the issue, see. I think there are great things as legislation-wise, but I think for certain, there is a disconnect between what's being passed And even when people see, oh, well, there's 300,000 jobs that's been added, for some people, there's still a disconnect between those jobs being added and my ability to pay bills, which I think now, Albion, is leading to, and all this, y'all, is what we're going to be talking about at the Black Family
All of
Conference.
it.
So y'all better come on and check it out,
That's
because
just
it's going
the
to be
tip of the
raw
iceberg.
and real talk, right? But
Please.
that leads to the fact that you now see double the amount of people, African Americans, that's voting for
Republican.
Trump this
Yes.
time around compared to
Yes.
at least the early polling results have
Yeah.
indicated that many more blacks are leaning that way now than they were before. What do we make sense of that, Alvin?
So here's the thing, and this is why I love what we do, because there are so many factors that have nothing to do with the facts that are guiding people's decisions. Okay. And we talk about this kind of stuff, that it is often for humans and from a psychological perspective that we allow our feelings to be bigger than the facts. All right. And the feelings is the thing that the narrative often drives. Okay. So, like, if your narrative is not inciting, is not stimulating the right kinds of feelings, you're not going to get the vote, because people do not vote from the shoulders up. Most humans vote from the shoulders down. I tell all of the political candidates that I coach, because, of course, I do all kinds of stuff. But when they call me about messaging and narratives, I always explain to them the same thing. Shoulders down. If people cannot feel you, it does not matter how good your policies are. They don't like you. And when it comes to, unfortunately, the politics in America, it really is a popularity contest. We have already proven that it is not about how intelligent or capable one is, or our entire country would be run differently. It's about who feels like they are most like me. And so the thing about America is that we do not like certain kinds of things. America is ageist. We don't like old people in America. America is unequivocally, we have aesthetic issues. We don't like fat people in America. So it wouldn't even matter if you were an incredible candidate. If you are not lean enough by American standards, you're not getting anywhere, because it doesn't look the part for what people think something should be. Biden's biggest problem, yes, we do have a messaging issue, but I think unequivocally his biggest problem is his age. Unequivocally. It's the fact when people look at him, they think frail. And when you think about a leader, people think about a leader in the most primal, basic human sense. If we were in a fight, could this person hold me down? And the reality is that his age makes people perceive him as weak or feeble. And so even though Trump is only 3 years apart, we are not talking about 2 decades, but because he appears, fully figured as a man, he works so hard to maintain the hair plugs and whatever else is going on up there. Like all of this stuff. He married a woman who is 30 years his junior, because all of those things help to ensure the perception of greater youthfulness. And even in the obnoxious things that he does, some people process it as he's a fighter, rather than recognizing that these things are wildly inappropriate, completely unprofessional, disrespectful to the honor of being president. All of that stuff goes out the window, because those are facts. But
so let me ask you this. Let me ask you both real quick, Alvin and Sia, as Black women. How much of the concern for Biden do you think people have that it's not Biden but Kamala Harris? That if something were to happen to Biden, now she would be next in line, and that's potentially causing people to feel some type of way. In other words, do you think the position would be different if he decides to have a different running mate as VP this time around compared to last time?
Interesting question. See, you want to answer that first?
Well, honestly, in a lot of the circles that I travel, all kinds of different circles, it doesn't even get to that part. And I think that part comes up with more of your moderate independent, could go either way, looking at what would happen, you know, if something were to happen to him. I think a lot of what Alvian is saying is really the crux of the conversation. And it's not so much as what happens if he dies or what happens if he gets sick, but just the fact that he could die or the fact that he could get sick, not realizing that all of us are but mere mortals and could, you know, die or get sick. And I think what I struggle with, right, being completely understanding everything that Alvian just said, but also being on the inside, is how if we continue to just vote with our heart and just vote with our perceptions, we could end up with a true fighter who is fighting against us. And we can be the ones that empower that fighter to then fight against us, right? And that's where I'm just so kind of torn. I don't think people are dumb. I don't think people don't understand. I think they're tired. I think they're suffering. And so that feeling might take over. But I just want to see, you know, and I'm going to have some things to say at the conference about how that is so dangerous, especially in this moment in time, because of what is at stake with either of them.
Yeah. Al, real quick, what's your thoughts on that for Kamala? Do you think that some people, perception-wise, maybe not necessarily, you talked about ageism, right? And people maybe are afraid of Biden, not just for Biden, but who's behind Biden.
Yeah. And I think that it is, is it a factor? Clearly it was meant to be played as a factor, because even with Nikki Haley, when she did her interview on the Breakfast Club, she touted her line, the idea of a President Kamala should send chills up your spine or down your spine is what she said. So that was virtually a direct quote, to which, of course, they challenged, well, what does that mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you saying when you say that? And, you know, she didn't really answer that as directly as one should have. She just kind of knows that it was playing a particular way, right? And so, yet again, we're playing to feelings, right? Not facts. We're just playing to feelings. I will also say, though, Kamala is not a popular figure. So, like, I know more Black women who do not like her than I know Black women who do, which is really interesting to me. Now, part of that is that their position is they don't know who she is, as in, like, I can't feel you, sis. I don't know who you are. And the fact that her husband happens not to be a man of color also adds to the, I don't know where you really stand on anything. I don't know, are you really for my cause? I don't know if, you know, this is sort of a charade that you're playing, that there's this sense that people don't know her, you know, like, so, and some people are like, is she really that Black? Is she not that Black? And I hate it when people start doing that stuff. Like, I just think that's just so totally ridiculous. So I don't even know that it is your typical prejudice against a Black woman situation in this. I think this is also a kind of unique situation. I don't think that it's just that she's a Black woman, because if she was Michelle Obama, she would be his plus one, like, in the best way, elevating it. I think it's because it's her specifically, not her just as a Black woman, but her, that makes it even more challenging for the ticket because of her lack of popularity.
Yeah, let me sidebar real quick. Jay, let me ask you something, man. Alvin just said something real quick. Let me just sidebar for a minute. Jay, do you think brothers get upset when a sister dates a white dude to the same level that sisters get upset when brothers date a white girl?
Well, you gonna ask me that question?
I'm just asking. That's what she just said. Do you think we get up in arms when we see a sister dating a white dude?
No, I think the vitriol is more so on our sisters getting mad at us, I think.
Okay. All right. I just
want to go on record that I do not care. I don't care who y'all be.
I mean, I'm just.
And also, we might need to delve into this further, because that little one layer of the conversation is just not fair.
Yeah. Like,
I'll just comment on what she just said. I mean, she said that, you know,
listen, we
don't know who Kamala is because she married a white guy, right?
We said we're going to do a buffet, so let's talk about it. Okay, since you decided you wanted to touch it, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
I do not care who you're with. Okay, like, not at all. Do not care. Completely unfazed. I will only say that I think all of us look at a couple and we kind of wonder how these two people might have found each other. So like if I see a very attractive one party in a couple and a very unattractive other party in a couple, I always wonder how that came together. Like I just, you know, when people
I had to like.
So would you do that if it was two ugly black people? Would you wonder how they came together?
when I see two ugly black people,
If you saw a beautiful black person and what you would describe as an ugly black person, would you have the same reaction as you would if it was an ugly, handsome black person and an ugly white person? Would you have the same reaction?
okay, no.
I'm trying to understand what you're saying here,
I'm
Albie.
gonna be honest. I probably would not have the same. I would be even more curious if that was the situation. Like, not as in I would be angry, but I'd be really curious. Like, how did that come together? Like, where did you all meet? Like, and when I see stuff like that, I want to like do a street interview. I want to go tap you on your shoulder and
Y'all are seriously childish right now. This is childish.
But you know, when I see some of the celebrities that they like tout the fact that they date white women or that they can't put up with the sisters and all of this, I'm like, congratulations, girl, have him. Please take him
he's
out.
all
of
yours.
That's all you boo.
He's
Like,
all yours.
no, like otherwise, if it does not tell me anything about who you are, what you respect, what you do. Like, how do you treat this person? Like, those are things. But like, just for the simple fact that the partner is white, no, not at all.
But I will say, to Sia's point, if I hear the man say something, like, so if it's a black man who's with a white woman and he says disparaging things about black women, that's when I have a problem. Because your mama black, your aunties are black, all of those folks is black, and that is disrespectful. We can all have our preferences. I prefer fine. So like, I understand. Okay.
See, Jason, I got a problem with this conversation right here. I'm going to tell you why. I got a problem here, Jason, because years ago when Scandal was on, right, the whole premise of Scandal was the fact that it was a sister, right, who was dating the president, right? And the fact was you had sisters who were openly rooting for Kerry Washington, who played Olivia Pope, to take the president, and even though he was married, right? But we asked y'all back then if the president was black and the sister Olivia Pope was white, you all told us you would have a completely different look on that show. You would be rooting for the president to keep his family together and not give the white girl a chance to break it up. And now y'all gonna come up here on this and say, well, it don't matter because, you know, whoever it is.
Y'all.
That's what y'all just said. You just said it don't matter.
First of all, that must have been a show where I was in session because I couldn't watch the show because I cannot watch someone actively cheating and cheating be glorified. I just couldn't do it. And I had this conversation, not even to name drop, I had this conversation with Kerry Washington herself. And we had a juicy conversation. I'm going to leave it there. But I was not a Scandal fan when it became pitting her against the wife and the prize was this dude.
But you know that was where sisters was so enamored because the sister had power.
Didn't say that.
Right?
Didn't say
She
that,
had power and influence.
You said y'all.
Well,
I'm a part of y'all.
Alvin, am I lying? Come on, Alvin.
No, look,
set the record straight.
You are not lying about what the sisters thought. All C is saying she wasn't part of that
Right.
demographic.
I just need to clear my name.
That's all she's saying.
I only saw 3
So y'all are saying y'all the exception to the rule. That's what y'all saying?
No. Hold on. For the record, I am not calling myself the exception because I watched the show faithfully.
And you rooted for Kerry Washington. Let's be honest.
Okay, I was rooting for Kerry.
see, this is my point, Jason. Jason, come on, help me, Jason.
For the record, I was rooting for Kerry. But here's the thing. As a married woman too, on top of that. But here's the thing. What was her name? Mellie. Was that her name? The wife? Mellie totally and completely acknowledged that this was a business transaction and she was in it for the politics of it all. So it wasn't really a marriage that was love. Let me be clear about something else. And I don't care.
Marriages.
We split hairs.
I don't count anything on TV as real. So like,
not TV ain't real. Okay, I got it.
I'm talking about a show. I don't.
Okay, not as fantasy, right? It's fantasy that sisters was openly rooting to break up a white people's marriage.
But you also have to talk about power dynamics, right?
Oh,
You
now
gotta
it's power,
also think
Jason.
about
That's what we got
fighting
now
for the
too.
ancestors. Like this was a win for the ancestors.
This was a win for the
somehow, right?
ancestors.
That's how it was seen, though.
Right.
Almost
But
as much as people love the dude who jumped off of the boat to swim
Yes.
to the shore.
Aquaman.
I'm waiting. I want to talk about that. That's what I want to talk about.
So this is what we're
That
saying.
felt like a win for the ancestors. Okay.
That was a
So
win.
this is how we gonna talk at the Black Family Comms, right? So if the
As if we
brother,
were
if the
talking the other
president was
day.
a brother, then it would be a completely different show. That's what y'all saying.
I tell you, it was so the show's ratings went down when Carrie was dating a black man on the show. So
Because the
during that
sisters
little
was
window,
rooting for her. So what are we saying
they
here?
were not feeling it. They were not feeling it. They didn't want her with a black man. They actually wanted her with what's his name? Fitz.
But
They
it
wanted
won't.
her
It
with
wasn't just only Fix. It was also Jake.
Oh,
it
Jake
was
too.
it was
Yes. Yes.
anyone that had power and prestige that was
Yes.
of the vanilla complexion,
But
because
he
you had Jake.
could not be brown because that's too everyday-ish. They
Yeah, 'cause
wanted
she had a senator, and that didn't
correct.
work. And they
That-
tried to
yep.
go with somebody
they
else,
were
and that
they
didn't
weren't
work.
feeling it. They were not
Mhm.
feeling it. Ratings went down. Stop it.
Mhm.
So Alvin, let me segue real quick because we got to land this plane. And
Yep,
I
go,
know
go, go.
that the first part of the show we've been talking about, and by the way, at our conference title is Two Sides of the African American Community.
Yes, it
right?
is.
So
yes, it
what
is.
we
'Cause
often
there's
talk
always
about here on the
one
show
side.
is the first side is what we just talked about, what impacts us as Black families, right?
Yeah.
You got politics, you got laws, you got decisions that are being made at a
Economics.
higher level
Yep.
that impact us, right?
Yep.
But we cannot have this conversation without also talking about the other side, which also doesn't always get the same type of buzz or pizzazz. And quite frankly, most Black people don't like to talk about, but we got to talk about it. And that is the things that we do to ourselves, right?
Facts.
So for you, Alvin, what do you think are the biggest thing, one or two things that we do to ourselves that's detrimental to just like what others do to us?
Yeah. So top thing would be crime. Hands down, the way we violate one another, the willingness to kill over the stupidest things, the casual way in which we are partaking in gun violence. That is my number one issue. There isn't even a close second to that issue.
So hold tight.
Go ahead.
Hold tight on that. Because Alvin, I know Sia's looking at you. She is a systems and structures woman. You know what I'm saying? So when she hears you say crime, she gonna say it's the systems and the structures that are in place that are perpetuating the violence that we see in our communities. Ain't that what you gonna say, Sia?
A version of that, yes.
Yeah. So tell us your side of it, Sia.
No,
Yeah.
I think we can talk about the symptoms all day long, but at some point we've got to talk about the actual disease. And the disease in a lot of this is laws and systems set on white supremacy.
Okay.
And see, and we're gonna have a good time with that.
That's why we
because
gotta y'all gotta come to the conference because we don't
Yeah.
agree on all that.
I acknowledge all of that as true in terms of the systems in place. It's just that we were better to each other when we were slaves than we are now with all of our prosperity. And that to me is disgusting because we were cattle and we had a better understanding of each other's value than us now in positions where we can buy and sell corporations and with a blink of an eye, and we are treating each other like we mean nothing. And we could talk about the psychology and all of that, connected to that and the long-term effects of Jim Crow laws and all of that. But I'm just saying, I still just hate what we are choosing to do. So that's my number one. My number two, people would probably be a little surprised because they seem so far apart. I cannot stand what we are doing in terms of relationships, the kind of trash that we are willing to date and give up our identities and our lives for, the fact that we allow loneliness to completely change what it is that we will do with ourselves, that we keep going grocery shopping for men from a female perspective. We go grocery shopping for men while we're hungry and you put trash in your cart. That drives me crazy. And the reason it drives me crazy is because it doesn't stop with just you, sis. When you make babies and you're with this dude who you should have never been dealing with, and then the kids have to deal with this nonsense and all of the stuff that has taken place, all I'm saying, look, get healed So your kids don't have to get healed for having you as a parent because you wouldn't do your own work. That to me is the cycle. We just keep this cycle going
so
on.
why do
hate
black
it.
women then still mess with dogs? Because that's what we keep hearing that black men are with dogs, but yet and still you choose to sleep with dogs, you choose to have babies with dogs, you choose to have children with dogs. So help me understand this. Like
That's
if
what I'm
if
saying.
that's help me
Get
understand,
healed.
Alvin.
Get healed. And that's what happens when you don't do the work. See, and the other thing is that because this is part of the system of it all that Sia has been speaking to, not in terms of just what's put upon us, but the system that we've allowed to grow as a community, we do not believe in, at the level that we should, in getting that mental health support that we need. That we assume that to get that mental health support means that you got to be crazy. And, and then we could put everything on Jesus. Jesus is going to fix it all. But listen, Jesus and a good therapist, wonderful combination, y'all. Okay. Take care of your mind and take care of
Talk
your
about
spirit.
my Jesus.
You need both. Okay. Like you need both. Okay. So, because you don't even read your Bible. So stop pretending like Jesus is going to fix everything because you don't even know what he said. So like, let's just cut it out. So
That's too far, Alvin. It's too far.
Just going to
Too far.
church ain't going to fix it. Okay. Going to church alone will not fix it. Go get a therapist and read your Bible.
Okay. All right. That's fair. That's fair. Jason, what do you think your top ones are about what we do, not what has happened to us, but what we do to ourselves?
It's what Alvin just said. I'm in the school system. I've been in the school system this time, almost 2 years, a little over 2 years, I guess. And I've seen 4 young people die to gun violence. That one was maybe a couple of days ago. By the time this show aired, shot 4 times, 1 time in the head. Another young man shot multiple times with a drug dealer went bad. You have a grandmother outside fighting and someone get murdered at 2 a.m. Then you have someone else trying to rob somebody. And we're talking about an 8th grader. And now you're talking about, I have kids pre-K that can string along a cuss word sentence better than probably I've ever been able to do. And I'm 40 years old. So it's for me, it's the lack of value of life and decency, where you can see, I mean, look at, and I've been delivered, thank the Lord, from World Star and Shave Room. I have been. I have a powerful mentor that's working with me and walking me through that process. But it's when you see 2 women fighting and you see about 10, 15 guys all with their cell phones recording and no one is stepping in to break it up. Or you see multiple fights break out all over the place. I know we all stand in solidarity with the boat fight. That's because we stood up for one another. We want to make sure we were all going home, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you have 2.
That ain't the reason.
What do you say?
It was white folks involved.
Yeah. That's what I said. We
Let's
stood
just be
together.
honest.
That's what I'm saying. We stood together against that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But if it was us against each other, it'd be
Oh no, it would have been on World Star. It would have been on all that stuff. But I think it's because we don't value life. We don't value each other. Like, and I'll stop here. But I remember one time I was in the store and a man was cussing out his lady, and I stood up and I'm like, "Yo, do you gonna talk to her like that?" And she said, "Don't talk to him like that." I said, "Wait, I'm here for you."
Right.
All right, so
sorry.
we're almost out of time. So I got to ask this. Sia can say, okay, here are the reasons why we are seeing these things in the Black community. It's because of the systems and the structures and the things that have been brought upon us that put us in these situations to act this way. So if you all are saying it's not systems and structures, then what is it? What is it that's causing us to act like this? If it ain't systems,
and I would also, I would chime in. My number 2, in addition to the systems, is our misguided definitions of success and trying to be close to our ideas of whiteness. And that's a personal decision.
She said, and that's.
you know what? I'm gonna say something at the conference on that, but for the interest of time, Jay.
I'm sure we'll have
Al,
lots of things to say.
What is it? What is it, Al? Jay, what is it? If it's not systems and structures, what's causing all us to be acting like this?
Well, I mean,
Well, you gonna say the family.
The
He gonna
family.
say the family. He gonna say the family.
and
Who said
you know
that?
that's what I'm going to say, the breakdown of the family. But you know what C is going to say? The breakdown of the family is a byproduct of the systems and the structures that help to ensure that the family broke down. So, like, you almost find yourself as you start peeling back the layers. It's like, which came first, the chicken or the egg kind of situation. And the thing becomes, if we can't discern where it started, we've got to decide what we're going to do about where we're at. Right? Like, we've got to do something about where we're at, and where we are does not allow us to only look at one portion of it. It means that we actually are going to have to be working on multiple fronts at this point, because we practically have a cytokine storm. Like, when the body goes through and the whole thing starts shutting down and everything's freaking out, like, that is basically what's happening in terms of the Black family. I'm not calling it doom and gloom. I'm just saying that we're bleeding in multiple areas internally at the same time. So on some level, we may have to have multiple specialists working on us at the same time, because we've got to stabilize some things in order to be able to work on healing. But we haven't gotten to stable yet in order to actually move towards the healing. So I know what C is going to say. I know what my sister is going to say.
But I'm going to tell you, and you should still come and hear it, because you don't know the exact words we're going to say. But I'm saying, like, for those that want to come out and hear a real conversation, I think that multi-layered is what you're going to hear from us. And the multifaceted responses that we should have now that acknowledge the past, but also look forward and look hopeful to the future. That's what we're going to be bringing on the 22nd.
Yeah,
Yes.
our session is going to be in the morning of Friday, March the 22nd.
Yes.
Two sides of the African American community. Y'all got to come and check it out.
For
If y'all
real.
like today's show, it's going to be 10 times more raw.
Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Because Anton's going to be there, and I'm going to say some things to his face.
And this is why you need Jesus and a therapist. Y'all. That's why.
So, yes.
Yeah, we
But
have
it's
a
gonna
good
be
time.
all of us in the same space. This is like the first time in about
It's so
3 or 4 months where we all gonna be in the same space, where Anton gonna be casting rebuking spirits out of Kevin. Ray's gonna be talking about the agrinuciousness of how the Black culture has failed the domination of the TV society. Albion's gonna put everything together and make everything just like la la la. And Sia is gonna tell you that you're gonna fail because that system and that structure is ruining your life.
No, I'm just saying, don't forget to buck up against the system. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
She's like, just don't forget.
Activate.
Yeah, so let's repeat. Wednesday, March 20th is when the
Yes,
conference
when it all
starts.
begins. Mm-hmm.
Ends on Friday, March the 22nd. Hampton University's annual conference on the Black family. We're having a session. They've
Yep.
allowed the crew radio show.
We have.
I don't know who
We're
decided this.
live.
They allowed us to come live.
Let them do that.
Huh, who decided this? All right, but we're gonna be in the house. We all gonna be on the same stage, but we're gonna be talking about some real stuff, y'all. And
Yes.
and listen, when we do it live, we don't hold back.
Nope.
You know, so out of
No
respect-
edits, y'all.
out
No
of
edits.
respect to the radio and the FCC. Not that we're gonna be cussing and all that kind of stuff, but we're gonna give it to you raw in the session. And so
Yep.
you want to be in the room with us, come on and register. It is free. So you ain't got no excuse. You ain't got to worry about what you got to pay to come to the conference. It's free.
Yeah.
All right. And you can come on out and have a good time. So we're looking forward to that. Listen, we're out of time. We appreciate you checking us out. Stay tuned for more. And also some bonus content that you can check out also that we do where you really get to see how I'm treated here off air by some of the
Not
co-hosts
the victimization.
who just
My goodness.
you get to see how I'm just so mistreated and
Y'all get to see what we have to put up with. My goodness, sir.
It's called chronic only child syndrome. That's what it is.
I'm going back to
Can
the
I-
beach now. I'm going
I
back.
have
to
a
the
question. I have a legitimate question. I know because we are religious, everybody here has some Jesus in their heart. But can we take wagers on how many syllables the word is going to be that Ray's going to say on that Friday? I
Not
said he's
wagers.
a 7-syllable word. It's coming. It's
Oh
coming.
my God.
beach. Oh, see, we get to cut them off live though. See, that's the beauty part. Right? we get to cut that off.
Oh.
So we got to run, everybody. Until next time, be blessed and be a blessing to someone else. Peace.
Okay, I hope you loved it as much as we did. Thank you for joining us for another fire show for the crew. Listen, you can catch us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and any streaming platform that you're using for your podcast. Share with a friend, expand the family. Listen, we're trying to do this thing with all of you as often as we possibly can. We're looking forward to you joining us again for our next show.